Hello, everybody. I am Paige. I am one of the consumer technology specialists here at Mid-Continent Public Library, and today I'm going to do a pretty short introduction to basic accessibility on Apple devices, and most specifically, I'm going to talk about iPads and iPhones, so iOS devices. I'm not really going to get into Mac, but a lot of these will kind of carry over across. So I am just going to head into my home screen. So this is my main iPad home screen. I'm working from an iPad today. And I am just going to go directly into the settings app. And so this one is the one kind of right in the center of my screen. It's the gray one with all the little gears in it. And then from here, I can do all kinds of different things. I am working from the iOS version 13.6 or iPad OS 13.6. So if you happen to be behind or if you're working on the public beta for iOS 14, this may look a little bit different. But just heads up that this is what I'm working on, so you may have some things that are different. But for accessibility stuff, Apple is super nice. And over here on the left-hand part of the screen towards the bottom, they actually have an area for accessibility just completely set up. So I tap on that. That brings up all the different things that they have from very simple to very complex setups to make your iPad easier to use no matter what kind of abilities you have. It is super handy. Today, I'm going to focus on some of the smaller things that just kind of make using the iPad a little bit easier for anybody who may have some vision issues or has some trouble navigating around on an iPad. So kind of smaller things, but super helpful all the same. And the first one I want to point out is up here in this vision block at the very top. Right in the middle, there's one that's called display and text size. When I tap on this, it brings up a huge list of really cool things that you can kind of play with. I'm mostly going to focus on this little top block, but the stuff down below, the color inversion and increasing contrast, messes with the colors on the screen so that it is a little bit less light or bright, or maybe it adds the focus to be a slightly different color. So right now my background is more white and blue, but it could change the contrast to be a little bit darker or oranger or something else that makes it easier for you to see. Um, so up here at the top, I've got bold text as an option, and I can just tap on that little slider on the right. And when I turn that on, you can see that my text actually changes to be more bold. It's not super bold, but it is darker. It's a little bit easier to read, especially on my light background. Take that off, you can see it change back. You also have options for larger text. So if I tap on that, I can bring this up, and there's a little slider down here, and I can move it up and down as I needed to get fairly large text. It's a little bit easier to read. But if that's still not big enough, up here, this little top button option for the larger accessibility sizes, I can turn that on, and I can actually get my text size up to extremely large, very, very easy to see. So you have a lot of options in terms of size for text. It's very, very nice. You can also, if you for some reason like your text super tiny, you can take it down to very, very small. I prefer mine a little bit smaller or a little bit larger than the very lowest, but not much beyond that. So I'm going to come back out of that. The button shapes, if I turn that on, you can see where it says accessibility and there's a little arrow next to it kind of in the center of my top center of my screen. If I turn on the button shapes, it just changes it to be a little bit more obvious that that is a link that will take me back somewhere, specifically to accessibility. But that's just kind of all it does. It changes the buttons to be a little bit more obvious that they are buttons. And then the on and off labels is the last one I kind of want to show you here. And that is literally what it does. When you turn it on, it just sets it up so that you can see little labels. You can see now I have a little line there to the right of the slider, or to the left of the slider, to indicate that that button is turned on. So if I turn on other things, it does that same thing, and it leaves a little 0 if it's off. So you just kind of know if something's on or off. That's really good if you have issues seeing the color green, because these sliders, when you turn them on or off, if they are on, they are also lit up green. So it's a helpful thing to see. I'm going to go back into the accessibility area. I'm going to scroll down to the physical and motor chunk, which is now in the center of my screen here. And I wanted to focus on the home button one right here towards the middle. So if I tap on that, this is something that I think is really useful. I know I've worked with a lot of people who have issues double pressing that home button, because I know to like close apps or to bring up your list of currently open apps on an iPad, you have to press that home button twice quickly. And for some other features, you can even set it up to be 3 or 4 presses in quick succession. And that can be hard to do if you don't have great dexterity in your thumb. So you can actually adjust the click speed for that home button. So right now mine is set to the default, and so I do have to click it fairly quickly to get it to register. But if you think you may not be able to get it to go as fast, kind of like a mouse click, you can set it to slow or slowest, and it will register those button presses a lot better if you aren't as quick with the button pressing. So I'm going to scroll a little bit further down. So there is one more in this area that I kind of wanted to point out, and that was the subtitles and captioning. So I open that up, not really a lot there to see. I can just turn it on. But when I turn that on, it's going to actually, if available, go ahead and provide that closed captioning or subtitles anywhere that it's available. So if you pop into a website and there's audio, it should actually start to generate those subtitles for you if it's available. And you can change the style of how those subtitles appear. That's all it really is. For the moms or people who have kids who love to steal their iPads and play games on them, this one down here on the bottom, this guided access, is super handy. And it actually allows you to lock your iPad into one app, so people can't go hunting around, or if you've got kids playing on it, they can't go shopping on Amazon while you're not looking. So that is something to take a look at a later time. But just wanted to point that one out. So I'm going to go back over here to the left side of my screen. So we went to accessibility already. Now I'm going to just kind of slowly work my way back up this list. So I'm going to click on home screen and dock. And this one's kind of nice. So right now, the app icons, you can see I have mine set to more, and I'll run back to my home screen real quick so you can see this is what it looks like. I've got six app icons across the top, and then I've got one on that second row. But if I go back into settings, go back to home screen and dock, and if I tap on bigger, it automatically changes it. And so you see I only have the 5 on top now. So my app icons are much larger. I don't have quite as many of them up. There's a little bit more space between the icons. They're just a little bit easier to see. And it really is kind of a preference, just how you like your apps to display, if you like to see more of them in one go, or if you want them just to be a little bit easier to see, a little bit easier to tap on. So I just wanted to point that one out. And then now I'm going to go back to the left and go up one more little spot to the display and brightness. And this is where you can play with a little bit more. You can see I have my little brightness slider. I have mine turned way up bright, which is usually where it is unless it is nighttime and I'm in a dark room. And then I will turn it down because this thing can be blindingly bright. So you can choose that. Below that is night shift. And turning that on basically allows you to either turn it on automatically at a certain time or just permanently turn it on. But it reduces the blue in the background, the backlight of your screen, and usually turns it to a warmer tone, more yellows and oranges. So it might look a little strange the first couple of times you see it, but it is kind of handy. At the top of this page, we have the appearance. So you can see I have mine set to light, which basically means that my background on all of my apps and things is going to be either that really light gray or almost white or white. So it's very bright and light. But if I switch it to dark, it'll change automatically. So all of those just basically flip-flop. So I've gone from a light gray and white background to now I have dark grays and black. But it's really a preference. There's been some stuff pop up here and there that says maybe the dark mode or dark screens are a little bit easier on the eyes, but it is really more of a preference thing. If you're curious about the research, there's some out there. Just do a quick internet search. And it's kind of been favorable on both sides for light or dark screens. So it's just a preference thing at this point. I'm going to go back to light. And the last one I want, or I guess close to the last thing I want to point out while I'm in here is the auto lock. So right now I have mine set to never, but you can change it so that your iPad will automatically lock after a certain amount of time. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes. I do never just because I use my iPad for recordings, and it would be bad if it just suddenly locked up on me while I was playing with it. or while I was trying to record. But if you are somebody who thinks you might walk away from your iPad without locking it, or you like fall asleep reading or something, and you don't want it to be open and available to people who happen to wander by, turning on the auto lock function is super helpful. Um, to just unlock it, all you have to do is just press the home button, or slide in some cases, depending on your device and where you're at. But it's not super complicated to unlock a device. So that is all I have for our basic accessibility run through for today. So thank you so much for joining us, for joining me. If you would like more videos like this, these little short videos, we also have some longer ones kind of talking about all kinds of different things in technology, from the very basics all the way up to some more complex things. Check out our consumer technology resources playlist on the Mid-Continent Public Library YouTube channel, which has just kind of been revitalized. There's a whole bunch of cool videos there now. Or you can join us live when we premiere videos each Wednesday at 1 o'clock on the MCPL 360 Facebook page. So hope to see you guys soon, and thanks for joining me.